Hello! Welcome to another Thursday Super Story. Today we're hearing about the last meal Jesus had with his friends. Do you remember our story last week? Jesus had been washing his friends' feet. So here we go. Jesus looked round at his friends as he folded up his towel. He looked at their faces. He watched Peter still examining his extra clean feet, and Jesus smiled. It was almost time to eat their meal together. Jesus turned to his friends and talked about how they should look after each other, serve each other now. Then he led them into the next room where the Passover meal had been prepared. Jesus looked at the special food on the table. He thought back to how God had saved his people when they'd been captured in Egypt working as slaves. Jesus remembered how God had sent Moses to Pharaoh. Moses had said, "Let my people go," but again and again Pharaoh said no. God had sent plagues to prove that God was in charge. Then came the last plague, the worst plague, the death plague. God's people were scared, but God had a plan to keep them safe. God told them to take a lamb, to kill the lamb, and to put a little bit of its blood above their door frames. Then they could go inside, they could cook the lamb and share the delicious food together. Lots of treats. And when the plague came, the death plague, the scary plague, those people in those houses would be safe. That's how everyone would know they belonged to God, and God kept his people safe. The blood on the door frames was the sign for everyone. Jesus looked at the lamb in the middle of their table. They ate this meal every single year, the same food those Israelites trapped in Egypt ate. Every single year they ate the same food to remember what God had done for them, to remember that God had kept his people safe. And now Jesus was eating the food with his friends. They sat down together round the table. They talked and laughed. They chatted about everything that had happened that week. They talked about how Jesus had rode into town on a donkey, how people could have taken their own coats off and put them on the floor for the donkey to walk on, how the people had taken palm branches and waved them, singing and shouting praise. And they talked and laughed and remembered together. Jesus looked around at his friends and felt sad. One by one, his friends saw his face. One by one, they fell quiet. Then Jesus spoke. "I'm telling you the truth," he said. "One of you at this table with me is going to betray me. One of you is going to sell my whereabouts to my enemies." His friends looked shocked. He saw their faces, sad, anxious, worried. They started turning to each other. "Is it me? Will it be me?" they asked Jesus. Jesus saw their fear, scared that they would be the one to turn him in. Judas was looking at his plate. He looked up at Jesus. "Will it be me?" he said, trying to join in with what everyone else was saying. Jesus looked back at him. "You said it, not me," he replied. Judas looked back at his plate again. Jesus looked round at his friends and the meal they were eating. He said, "Friends, you know what's going to happen. You know that the Son of God, me, I'm going to have to die. You know, because that's been God's plan since the start of the world. Like this lamb died to keep God's people safe when the plague came. Now it's my turn. I'm going to die, but it will keep God's people safe forever. Jesus looked at his friends. We eat this meal together to remember, he said. And now I'm going to give you a new meal to eat together. A meal to remember something. Jesus picked up the bread from the table. He held it up and he broke it in two in front of them. He said, "This bread is to remind you of my body. It's going to be broken for you. When you eat bread together, remember me. Remember what I've done." Then Jesus picked up his cup. He said, "This red wine is to remind you of my blood, like the blood of the lamb that protected God's people all those years ago. My blood is going to protect you. When you drink wine together, remember me and remember what I have done." The Passover meal was the old agreement, the agreement between God and his people that God would keep them safe. Jesus said, "My blood is the new agreement between God and his people, that God will always keep his people safe." Jesus looked round at his friends. He felt sad but glad. Sad that he would have to leave them for a little while, but glad because they would be safe forever, no matter what happened to them in the world. "Come on," he said to his friends, "let's eat this food together. Let's celebrate Passover. Celebrate God keeping his people safe. Then, after dinner, I've got a place we can go and pray together." Jesus' friends looked at each other. They felt glad that Jesus was with them for now. And they carried on talking and laughing and celebrating together, for a little while at least. I wonder how Jesus' friends felt that evening. I think if I was there, I would have felt quite scared about what was going to happen. Sometimes it's scary when we just don't know what's going to happen, or when we think something bad might happen. And I wonder if any of you are feeling a bit scared at the moment about what might happen. If you are, I want you to remember you don't need to be scared, because God is with us and he will keep us safe no matter what. I have a Bible verse challenge for you this week. Can you remember this verse? It says, "Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go." And I have a challenge. First off, can you practice that verse so you can remember it? It's Joshua 1 verse 9. "Be strong and brave. Do not be afraid. Do not lose hope. I am the Lord your God, and I will be with you everywhere you go." Joshua 1 verse 9. Have a go at practicing. Maybe you could even send me a video of yourself doing that verse with no words. And then I have a competition for you this week. Here's the idea. You write out that verse and decorate it to make it really beautiful. Maybe you could do some pictures to do with the story this week, or something else entirely. But when you finished making your verse and decorating it so it looks lovely, I want you to get a grown-up to send me a photo of what you've done, and then I will choose the best one. I'll put the photos in our next video so you can see what everyone else has done. I'm going to choose the best one and I will send you a prize in the post. Okay, so your challenge is to write out that memory verse, best handwriting please, or lovely bubble writing or something like that, and decorate it, make it really beautiful. Send me a picture and I'll pick the best one. Okay, I hope you guys have a good week and I will see you very soon. Bye.